Mayong hapon sa tanan, Mr. Secretary, majority floor. So we already have to constitute a quorum. A quorum, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Last 4, sir.
7,
8,
9, 10. Okay. A simple majority. So, pwede na. Okay, majority floor. Okay. The 115th regular session, Sangguniang Panglusod, Akbayan sa Cagayan de Oro, is now called on to order. Please do stand. Is Councilor Lordan Swan? Is he around? Okay, Councilor Lordan Swan. Okay, I think he's not around. He's not yet around. Okay. Okay, Councilor Ruben Daba.
Mr. Chair,
Okay, can you, since Councilor Lordan Swan is not around yet, can you lead the prayer for this afternoon's regular session?
okay, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Maayong hapon sa tanan, gihangyo ang tanan sa pagtindog sa atong mga bisita. Magaduko kita sa atong ulo. Almighty God, thank you for all the blessing that you have given us. Thank you for the gift of life and for bringing us to this day. We know that that's your plan for us and for our family are greater than what we know in our heart. We trust you wholeheartedly, Lord. Let your will be done in our life, even when we don't understand. We will simply trust you. This all we ask in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilor Ruben Daba. And for the singing of our national anthem. And for the Cagayan de Oro March.
Our
hapon sa tanan. And so as our to those who are present this afternoon's regular session, maayong hapon. And to all the regular members of the 19th City Council, maayong hapon. And so as our fellow councilmen in their different abode, in their respective maayong hapon kaninyong tanan. And so as we do have a guest, a very special guest. Mga gwapa mang gining duhagid. Oh, with the same name. Attorney Christine. So mo tali ni ang kuan. Basta Christine, mga gwapa gyud. Ayong hapon kininyo, attorney. Oh,
Parera na sa Maria Lourdes.
Ayong hapon. Singit niya. Gawa sa Christine, napagide Lourdes. So mayong hapon, our media friends at the back, who are present at the back, mayong hapon kaninyo. And to those people at the back, please around, mayong hapon. So at this moment of time, Mr. Secretary, can you do the roll call and determine if we do have a quorum this afternoon?
Honorable Renier Joaquin Voy, City Vice Mayor and Presiding Officer. For the first District Councilors, Honorable Edna Imdahino, Honorable J.R. Pascual, Honorable Roger Jabaday, Honorable Saldi O. Ocon,
Present.
Honorable George is Goking,
Present.
Honorable Ruben R. Daba,
Present.
Honorable Lordan G. Swan, Honorable Romeo V. Calizo. For the second District Councilors, Honorable Joylen Mercedes L. Balaba, Honorable Maria Lourdes Isgaani, Honorable Ian Mark Yunakaya, Honorable Josette G. Magtahas Daba,
Present.
Honorable Chodolfo E. Lau Jr., Honorable Enrico D. Salcedo, Honorable Jocelyn B. Rodriguez, Honorable Edgar S. Cabanlas. For the ex-officio members, Honorable Yan Lam is Lim, Liga ng mga Barangay President, and Honorable John Michael Arseno, City SK Federation President. There is quorum, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. So we do have a green light for us to proceed since we do have a quorum. That's a simple majority. Okay. Majority floor leader, Ayan Mark Kiblat Nakayam, ayong hapon kanimo majority floor.
Mayong
floor.
hapon, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Mayor, Renier Joaquin Velez Kikang-Uy, and to our colleagues in the council, friends from the media, from fellow Cagayanon, sa mayong hapon. I move, Mr. Chairman, to dispense with the reading of the minutes of meeting on November 22, 2021, and to consider the furnishing of its copy to every member as the reading itself.
Properly moved by the majority floor leader. And a second?
Second.
Seconded. Is there any correction? Correction? Is there any? Hearing none, there is none. It is hereby approved.
I likewise move for the approval of the said minutes of meeting.
For its finality?
Second.
We proceed now, Mr. Chairman, on the appearance. Item A, proposed motion number 2021-08 to hear the representatives of the Philippine Commission on Women, PCW, regarding the programs of the said commission. For this purpose, we have invited Attorney Christine E. Yuson Chavez, the Executive Director of the Philippine Commission on Women, and Attorney Christine K. M. Lazarito Kalingin, Chief God Specialist, North Mindanao Field Office, Philippine Commission on Women. And before we proceed, Mr. Chairman, may we ask Councilor Girly Balaba to kindly introduce and make a pronouncement as to the purpose of the appearance of our guest.
Okay, Councilor Joylene
Yes, thank
Mercedes
you,
Balaba.
Majority Floor Leader. And good afternoon, Mr.
Mayong
Chair,
hapon.
our Vice Mayor Kikang-Uy, and to all of
Yeah.
my colleagues and to all our guests. It is with great honor to introduce before this august body our partner government agency for the welfare and protection of our women and children, As we observed the week for programs related to violence against women, we invited no other than the Executive Director of the Philippine Commission on Women, Attorney Christine Chavez, and Chief of the Gender and Development or GAD Specialist, Attorney Christine Kalingin, to share with us the good news of the first ever field office of PCW here in Cagayan de Oro City and Northern Mindanao. Today, they will talk about the programs as part of our desire to bring the government closer to the people, especially to our women. So join me in welcoming our resource persons this afternoon, Philippine Commission on Women, Executive Director Attorney Christine Chavez, and Chief GAD Specialist Attorney Christine Kalingin.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
With that, Mr. Chairman, I move to suspend the rules to allow non-members to participate in this proceeding.
Any second? Seconded. Or the 19th parliamentary rules of procedure is suspended.
May we ask our special guest to kindly appear before us to the use of the center podium.
Good afternoon to
Maayong
the
hapon,
members of
attorney.
the Sanggunian of Cagayan de Oro City, Vice Mayor Kikang Uy, hello, and all of the councilors of this honorable body. I'm very thankful for extending this invitation to the Philippine Commission on Women to present before you today a short background of who we are and what we do. And as Councilor Gurley mentioned earlier, to share with you the good news that for the first time since the creation of PCW in 1973, this is the first time that a field office is created. So it's in Cagayan de Oro City, and we hope to deliver our services closer to the people of Cagayan de Oro. We have prepared a very short presentation, a brief introduction of PCW. So if the honorable body would allow us, may I call on Attorney Christine Kalingin to present to the body the introduction of PCW. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Executive Director Chavez. May Good sa tanan, especially to this August body. Good afternoon, Your Honors.
Maayong hapon.
In behalf of PCW, we'd like to thank the City Council of Cagayan de Oro and most especially Kagawad Girly Balaba and Your Honor, Councilor Dahino for giving us this chance, and of course for the support of Your Honor, Honorable Kagawad Girly Balaba for the efforts. She is also instrumental in pushing this project or this office, this field office. We are the Philippine Commission on Women North Mindanao Field Office. Okay, next slide. I don't know if it's clear at your end. Anyway, this is the PCW organizational structure. So basically, the North Mindanao Field Office is directly under the Office of the Executive Director. We hope for your understanding. It's not that clear. Anyway, the organizational structure could also be accessed sa website of the Philippine Commission on Women. Okay, next slide. So we are very privileged because we have with us this afternoon the executive, no other than the Executive Director of the Philippine Commission on Women, Attorney Christine Rosary Yuzon Chavez, who's also from Cagayan de Oro. And yours truly, I'm heading the North Mindanao Field Office, and we're a small team. There's one supervising GAD specialist, two GAD specialists. So si Chandy Lian Uy and Jonathan Barros was also with us this afternoon, and also our admin staff, si Mayet. Okay, next slide. So the creation of PCW field offices is really for the localization of the Magna Carta of women. So the intention really is to localize the MCW and make the benefits of the MCW more evident and be felt by women and men in communities. Because after all, when we talk about gender and development, it talks about everyone, not just women. Okay? To determine specific gender issues and concerns at the local level, especially as a result of the pandemic. And then this pilot project results demonstrate value of closer coordination with subnational level and to address increased demand for technical assistance on and monitoring the use of the GAD budget, as well as the gender responsive implementation of programs and projects at the local level. So it's basically bringing the programs of PCW to the local level. Okay, so what are the functions of PCW field offices? Well, first is be responsible for representing PCW in regional and local mechanisms on GAD-related concerns. Example, the regional GAD committees or RGADCs under the Regional Development Council. Another function is to review and influence regional and local policies, plans, and programs to become gender responsive in all government agencies, including, of course, the local government units, and assessing the level of gender mainstreaming of subnational agencies and local government units. Also, coordinating the provision of technical assistance to local agencies on gender responsive policy development, planning, and programming, and developing and assisting local learning hubs on GAD. So I'm quite sure that our city has been, advocating gender, and there's a lot of projects now na pwedeng ma-qualify as learning hub. So, yan. Okay, North Mindanao Field Office development since the establishment of the Magna Carta of Women in 2009. So there is actually an increased demand for technical assistance from various government instrumentalities. And there's also an increased PCW membership in committees and subcommittees at international and subnational levels. Third is need for sector-based program level review and monitoring and implementation of the Gender and Development or GAD plan and budget. So I'm sure you just concluded your budget hearing, so you have tackled the GAD plan and budget. Fourth is the outcome of the Great Women Project 1, which demonstrated the value of regional local government unit engagement. And the rationalization plan in 2007 was not adequate to meet Magna Carta women demands. And the last is the need to closely monitor the Philippine standing in the World Economic Forum's Gender Gap Index. So these are the factors why the PCW considered creating field office. Or next. In 2015, PCW proposed AIM-wide, or otherwise known as accelerating the implementation of the Magna Carta of Women for inclusive development and empowerment. So the original proposal is to establish 5 cluster field offices, namely North Luzon, South Luzon, Visayas, North Mindanao, South Mindanao. So as you can see, this is the first in the entire country. Now, the establishment of a field office, and after several deliberation, PCW identified as the best option to have it here in North Mindanao, specifically Cagayan de Oro. So we're very thankful for that opportunity. Thank you. Next. Introduction to the Nmfo. So who is Nmfo? It's a pilot field office of the Philippine Commission on Women, established in August 2021. So only this year. So it covers the northern regions of Mindanao. So namely Regions 9, or the Zamboanga Peninsula, Region 10, Northern Mindanao, so it's our region, and Region 13 or the Caraga region. So the office is located in Cagayan de Oro, specifically at the Thomas Acos Caves, Nazareth. So North Mindanao Field Office is actually a mini PCW. So it is expected to function as a mini PCW. Next. North Mindanao Field Office and not Northern Mindanao Field Office because, as I've said, it covers 3 regions, regions 9, 10, and 13. So if you will say Northern Mindanao, that only region 10. Next. So what are the roles and functions of North Mindanao Field Office? First is to facilitate localization of the Magna Carta of Women through the coordination of GAD-related technical assistance to regional line agencies and LGUs in regions 9, 10, and 13. And to facilitate adoption of the strategy of gender mainstreaming by subnational agencies in regions 9, 10, and 13. So we're here to help or to facilitate the localization of Magna Carta of Women. The Magna Carta of Women has been enacted 2009, so it's more than a decade already. So what are the targets of Nmfo? PCW, advocacies and laws dissemination. And then focus on the women, peace, and security sector. Assistance for capacity development of the DILG in regions 9, 10, and 13. GAD-related indicators and implementation of laws in regions 9, 10, and 13 monitored. So that's one of the targets. Technical assistance on gender mainstreaming to regions and LGUs provided, including the use of GAD tools such as Girl or Gender Responsive LGU tool, Harmonized Gender and Development Guidelines or the HAGA-DAGA. Okay, so, and then another target is PCW in regional levels represented. Since there is no, before the establishment of the North Mindanao Field Office, walang presence pa si PCW sa regional level. Although there's a division assigned to that, pero yung physically present, so this is the first, okay? Partnership with regional and local stakeholders to pursue gender mainstreaming in regions 9, 10, and 13 is hoped to be forged, okay? And then assistance to PCW Ayak vow referral system. So aside from the capacity building provision or assistance, the PCW North Mindanao Field Office will also be assisting violence against women cases. So next slide. So we also have what we call 5 Ps of North Mindanao. So what are these? These are partnerships and networking. So partnership and networking with regional line agencies and the Gender GAD focal point system. I'm sure City of Cagayan de Oro has a focal point system already. Local government units and the gender focal point system. And then another P is the policy development and advocacy. So we will be providing assistance and the policy development, like the GAD code and other GAD-related ordinances and policies. So like the localization of the Safe Spaces Act. Another is the promotion and awareness. And then for our priority activities, we have the anti-vow activities, women, peace, and security, and the women economic empowerment. And lastly is to popularize GAD best practices or the local learning hub for LGUs. So there's a program of the PCW wherein local government are certified. For those who have been doing GAD best practices, they will be certified as a local learning hub. So hopefully, City of Cagayan de Oro will be one of those that will be considered as a local learning hub. Okay, next. So before I end, I'd like to say that together, let us continue to advance gender equality and women empowerment. Thank you so much and good afternoon.
Mr. Chair, a few questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, fellow councilors. Good afternoon, Attorney Christine Chavez, and of course, Attorney Christine Kalingin. I would like to raise this question to anyone from our representative of the Philippine Commission on Women to clarify to this honorable council the support the local government unit shall give to our women in the city. In Section 36, Paragraph A, Republic Act Number 9710, or the Magna Carta for Women provides that the cost of implementing GOD programs shall be the agencies or the local government units GOD budget, which shall be at least 5% of the agencies or the local government units total budget appropriation. This provision is also provided in Section 37, Rule 6 of the Implementing Rules and Regulations of the Magna Carta for Women. Unsa ba ang buot ipasabot sa 5% GOD fund? Usa ba kini siya ka-mandated or compulsory provision? Kung pananglitan para sa tuig 2022, kung adunay total budget appropriation ang dakbayan nga nagkantidad og 7.5 billion, nagpasabot ba kini nga ang 5% niya is 375 million? Unsa bay silot sa LGU kung ubos ni ining kantidad ang anaa sa iyang budget? Unsa bay gahom sa inyong opisina ang Philippine Council on Women pag-monitor sa local government unit nga natuman ba kini ang provision sa balaod o kaha nagasto ba kini sa saktong katuyuan? I am raising this one, Mr. Chairman, because among the many issues that the local government unit shall attend to, our women, especially for those women who are victims of any form of violence. There is one which I am concerned, and this is the provision sa Section 10 of the Magna Carta regarding those women affected by disasters, calamities, and other crisis situations. We are in the pandemic and women are the most affected by this pandemic. Gusto unta nako nga ma-monitor closely sa atong PCW o kaha sa mga civil society kung ang 5% GOD fund sa mga LGU dinhi sa Cagayan de Oro na dapat bagayod diha sa pag-amuma sa atong mga kababayenan ning panahon sa pandemya. Daghan kay salamat, Mr. Chair, daghan salamat, Philippine Commission on Women.
May I answer that, Vice Mayor?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your question, Councilor Rodriguez, and thank you for recognizing the vulnerability of women and the need to address the women's concerns, especially in this time of the pandemic. Now, to answer your question on the 5%, yes, ma'am, mandatory ang atong 5% sa GOD budget. And so, what was the figure? It was around 300 million, ma'am, 5% of the total
Yeah.
budget of the city of
7.5.
Cagayan de Oro. And yes, ma'am, under the Magna Carta, we are supposed to spend that for gender and development. To answer your question on who monitors this, it is supposed to be the DALG. The LGU is supposed to submit its gender plan and budget every year, as well as its gender accomplishment report every year to the DILG. Now, the COA also monitors the compliance of LGUs and national agencies as to your GOD spending.
Okay, so Mr. Chair, if I may, the last question that I would like to ask that was included is that unsay silot, Mr. Chair, if LGU do not comply in these requirements?
You are subject to COA suspensions and disallowances, Councilor.
Okay, thank you very much. I am enlightened. I will do more research on this Philippine Commission Women, Attorney Chavez and Attorney Kalingin. Daghan kaayo salamat.
Thank you very much, Councilor.
Okay, is there any wants to? Okay, Councilor Edna Dahino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to my fellow councilors and to our beautiful guests, Director of our Philippine Commission on Women, and the Chief God Specialist, North Mindanao Field Office, Attorney Christine K. Kalingin. Thank you for really give us this opportunity to know your mission here in Cagayan de Oro, to get closer to our people in Cagayan de Oro. And with this representation, I myself acknowledge that the Cagayan de Oro is not that technically well versed about how to organize, how to make a budget. Because for many years that I was the one who really review on the budget of the city, I'm just wondering how it really to be kanang exact kung saan siya pagplastar. Because as I observed, the God was distributed to every department in our locality. So matingala ko, so with this very clear explanation, we can really organize how this 5% should be technically be organized on what projects that we are going to lay down for the God projects. Kay mo lagi na kanang dili kay nako masabtan nga naman dapat 5%, because I know that is mandated 5%, but to really put kanang asa dapit siya segregate bagid siya 5%, then you have to put there what project. Ang akong nahibawan is kada department. That is why nga medyo naglibog ko. So with this presentation and with your field office, we can really be kanang masabta na mo, especially sa executive department, on how we can creatively use the 5% for the people. And next, attorney, director, we had already a 100 million God Center. That was the respond of the God Code that I authored last 2017 or 2018. So I really made a personal initiative, ma'am, that we have to have our God Center here in Cagayan de Oro. Fortunately, it was given to us, the place of the new kaning naadya sa basurahan before nga diha ibutang ang God. Unfortunately, because of this pandemic, it was not even ganit sa ground break na lang. But we had already 2018 pa staggered na, that is 20 million. So I'm happy that you are already here, and we can really ask your help on how we can really push through this project. This is a very good project to empower our women, and of course sa atong mga because this is God gender man siya, babae o lalaki. So this is a one-stop shop center for our people to be equipped, especially this pandemic nga usahay mabutang na lang, pirmi na lang dole out, because we were not able to anticipate things like this nga dapat equip ang atong mga katawhan na tagaan og idea how to really mabuhi. So with this kanang lisod kaayo nga panahon, attorney. So again, with this technical, we hope nga ang technical really would really help us make the appropriations, the 5% nga maplastar gyud siya. And with that kanang naa siya, what you call this, punishment or penalty for those LGU who cannot perform their duties, then I think naagyo siya ngipon nga that should be implemented para nga ato yung matanaw og indeed our people were given an importance sa aning 5% nga budget. And again, with that God Center, as you made mention, nga mahimot ang learning hub. And I'm very, very excited for this center, that we can really become the first in Mindanao to have a learning hub. Because this is my vision. Director, that we kana bitang dinhi mag-benchmark ang tanan nga mga Mindanaoan in our city. And I believe we can really push through this with your presence in Cagayan de Oro. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
Okay, Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez.
thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor.
Meaning, what had been when Councilor Dahino was interviewed, she only said 16 million. It is way too low for this supposedly 375 million. Mr. Chair, the Committee on Finance could have checked on this because it has been a problem even in 2018, 2019. I have been very quiet on this even way back last year for our budget hearing because I am still new, I'm neophyte, I'm learning. Pero it's the same mistake again, Mr. Chair. 16 million, gamay ra gyud kaayo ang budget which is supposed to be 375 million with a 5% taken from 7.5 billion. Ang ako lang, we do our work, we research, we study. Kay I am not perfect, but then it is what do you call this? Ihatag na to ang wrong message for our kababainhan. We have to be very careful on this because I am a woman, kapitan ko. I've been doing this kapitan work as, you know, ang God, apil man na kanunay, I'm not perfect. But then, we have to be sure on what we say because women today are very sensitive on what they can get and how we can help them, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Mr.
Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez.
Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
okay, Majority Floor Leader, Ayan Mark Kiblat na kaya.
Thank you. It might be misunderstood as to the thoughts of Councilor Inday Deno and her articulation as regards directing the affairs of women. Our budget, Mr. Chairman, will not pass the consideration of the Department of Budget and Management without assessing and reviewing as to the mandates of several laws under which we direct our affairs. In other words, if we have not complied with the 5% GOD fund, if we have not segregated, and if we have not articulated in the budget proposal and approved budget of the city government of Cagayan de Oro, from the time that GOD was enacted by Congress, it could have been denied by the Department of Budget and Management. We may not have known each activity of each department because it's not segregated by way of providing lump sum budget and in one line of the budget, God. No, that's not how things are working in the operations of the government, Mr. Chairman. Even in the regional agencies, they have different items. And for the enlightenment of the members of the body, gender and development, as it has transformed revolutionarily from way back in the 60s, women empowerment, women and development, to gender and development in the recent years, Mr. Chairman, do not exclude men from this funding and the program that is supposed to be created by which God will be spent. That's the correct appreciation of the law. In fact, I have studied, we have one subject of God, Mr. Chairman, at the graduate school. And the first few nations signatory is the Philippines. And the first to approve a law, which is God, is the Philippines in the entire United Nations. And of course, in the global community. And the issue there is how the government entities will implement. Again, it's gender and development. It does not mean limiting ang iyang program creation, Mr. Chairman. Pasabot nga, ang kaning security, dili apil ang women, no? Apil ang kababayenan, gabantayan sa program sa security measures sa gobyerno. Kaning uban nga mga programs sa, like for example, even daycare, ug uban pa nga mga gipang implement nato hospitals, Mr. Chairman, apil ang women ani. Og dili lang women, apil ang male. Kay gender and development na lagi wala nay bias. Dili na bias nga ang God fund should be focused to babae ra. In fact, I've heard 2-3 years ago it started. Ang tanan nga mga comfort rooms dinhi sa City Hall gikan sa God fund, babae ug lalaki ang gi-improve, gi-renovate. Kay tungod lagi, kay pundo na dili lang para sa babae. We should understand the law as it was written and the commitment of the government as to delivering the programs for women and for men and LGBT as well. Kay mo man na siya ang gimugna nga mga programa, Mr. Chairman. So what is left now is the question of Councilor Inday Dahino. Maybe we can hear from both Attorney Christine's the reply to the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Majority Floor.
Maybe,
Okay, Attorney.
Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, sorry. First, I would just like to recognize the initiative of Councilor Dahino of establishing a GAD center. This will really help us and actually the city of Cagayan de Oro to determine what are really the gender issues of the city and how best the city can address these gender issues. Now, there was a question on the floor on whether or where should we get the 5% from? Is it from the total budget? Our answer is yes, it is from the total budget. It may be a large sum because it may be misconstrued as what Councilor Nakaya has said earlier, that the GAD budget will be devoted for projects exclusively for women. It's not. The purpose of Gender and Development Fund is to address the gender issues of the city. And so by gender issues, we mean the gender issues that are faced equally by men, women, including the LGBTQ. So we say, what are these projects? We do not know yet because it is very unique to your city, to our city. So our obligations here is to elevate, to surface these gender issues. And the city has to create policies and programs how we can address these gender issues. Now, at this juncture, I want to emphasize that PCDAF, the Philippine Commission on Women, is the primary policy making and coordinating body on gender equality and women empowerment. Now, the strategy that we are mandated to use to make sure that there is gender responsiveness is gender mainstreaming. This is what the Magna Carta of Women is telling us, telling everyone, the LGUs and the national agencies to do. What is gender mainstreaming? It is, in a nutshell, gender mainstreaming is a strategy that we should implement to make sure that all the policies and programs in the government are gender responsive so that everyone will be given the opportunity to fully develop unhindered by any gender issue. So that's the summation of gender mainstreaming and the Gender and Development Fund.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Attorney. Okay, is there any other wants to ask a question? Okay, Councilor Saldi Ogon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'd like to address this query to Attorney Kristen Yuson Chavez. Attorney, may hapon. Considering that this office is entire northern Mindanao, right?
That is correct,
Ma-
correct, Councilor.
Entire Mindanao. So meaning to say you're not only rely the 5% budget from Cagayan de Oro, but also from Bukidnon and anywhere in northern Mindanao, right?
Yes, Councilor.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Kanala akong pangutana, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, Councilor Lordans Juan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone.
May hapon.
I would like to ask our guests, Attorney Kalingin and Attorney Cray Chavez, because you mentioned earlier about the local application of the Safe Spaces Ordinance. It just so happened that I was able to make an ordinance or propose an ordinance last year regarding this very same topic. In fact, I named it the Safe Spaces Ordinance. Is there any way where we can get some additional information or help from your office so that we may improve the local application of the Safe Spaces Act?
Yes, Councilor, by all means, you can contact our office, both the Northern Mindanao Field Office, even the national office for guidance or any information that you may need to further improve the local ordinance.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney.
I guess we already have exhausted from the level of the members of the council, Mr. Chairman. There's no one raising his or her hand. Maybe, okay, from Councilor Edna
Okay.
Dahino.
Okay, lastly, Councilor Edna Dahino.
May I ask Director Chavez if since we only have kanang dili kay dako ang among budget here in Cagayan de Oro, and we want that God Center will be pushed through, can we ask help if they kung naay pwedeng mapangayuan na mo og tabang to make this God Center be realized? Thank you.
Councilor, from our end, our budget mismo, we cannot give any donations or fund any projects because we have a very limited budget considering that our mandate is policy making. But we can assist you to source out funds for that, but not from our office.
Okay, thank
If
you.
I may also introduce one proposal, Mr. Chairman, maybe at the proper time we can consider. Councilor Girly Balaba and Councilor Inday Dahino mentioned earlier during our short briefing before the session started that there was a proposal by Councilor Girly that we hire one legal practitioner just to focus on the LGBT and the needs of women and men, of course, directed on the affairs of gender and development. We are still at our processes of a budget hearing. Maybe we can consider and include that and charge it against God fund, maybe in the legal office, so that there will be a supervisory over the hired legal officer for the purpose of this program that the both ladies have introduced, Mr. Chairman, at the proper time.
At the proper time.
At the proper time. And before we continue, maybe we can ask our guests to join us for posterity pictorial, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
So thank you very much to the two ladies, Attorney Christine E. Yuzon Chavez and Attorney Christine K. M. Lazarito Kalingin. Thank you for your appearance.
Thank you very much for inviting us. And we do hope that we can give a lecture on gender development as well as how to create your gender agenda and how to go about the GAD plan and budget.
Okay. Thank you very much. Can
Attorney.
you
Thank you.
join
Thank you.
us? Join the Vice Mayor? Okay.
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 5 minutes recess.
Kanang anggol nga matampo sa Medena sa balaya.
Again, we would like to thank Attorney Christine Chavez and Attorney Christine K. Kalingin for their appearance and for enlightenment. So I move, Mr. Chairman, to lift the suspension of the rules.
Suspension is lifted. Okay, majority floor, you may now proceed.
For item number 1 is proposed resolution number 2021-249, returning to the Barangay Council of Barangay number 5, the city's appropriation ordinance number 2021-10, the 002 series of 2021, covering its supplemental budget number 1 for calendar year 2021 with a total estimated income of 360,520 pesos, with the information that said ordinance is operative in its entirety. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved by the majority floor leader. And a second? Seconded. Objection? Is there any objection? Hearing none. Hearing none. Resolution number 2021-249 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense for its finality. Seconded.
Number 2 is proposed resolution number 2021-250, accrediting the Bright Horizons Caregiver Training Hub and Technical School for purposes of its membership in the local special bodies pursuant to the ILG Memorandum Circular number 2019-72 and Article 64, Rule 13 of the Rules and Regulations implementing the 1991 Local Government Code, or funding its project from the city or other sources as required under the COA circular pertinent thereto. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved. Seconded. Objection? Objection? None. Resolution number 2021-250 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
For its finality. Seconded.
Number 3 is proposed resolution number 2021-251, approving and or adopting the annual investment program AIP for calendar year 2022 of the city government of Cagayan de Oro. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Mr.
Properly
Chair,
moved by the
Mr.
majority
Chair,
floor leader. And a second.
Mr. Chair,
Seconded.
comment.
Okay,
Mr.
Councilor
Chair.
Jocelyn Rodriguez.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 3 questions regarding the annual investment. Gusto na ko nga mahatagan ako clarification for this. First, the annual investment program is closely connected with the annual executive budget of the city of Cagayan de Oro. Nakita na ko nga ang AIP for 2022 mukabat kini sa kantidad na 8,125,810,004. Asa man kuhaon ang pundo para mapatuman kining AIP. Kung sa 2022 annual executive budget sa Cagayan de Oro ang gi-estimate ni kita nga mahimo sa syudad taman lamang sa 7.5 billion. May I, Your Honor, nga kini realidad ba kini nga matuman ang mga programa kung dili magkahaom ang duha? Second, Mr. Chair, sa daghang circulars nga gikan sa Department of Budget and Management, nagmando kini nga i-appeal ang climate change expenditures sa AIP, of which naa makita nako o kini mando sa Republic Act number 9729, ang Climate Change Act of 2009. One of the areas nga lantawon sa atong climate change mao ang climate change mitigation, diin i-appeal ang atong plano unsaon nga ma-reduce nato sa carbon emissions dinhi sa atong syudad. Kay mao kini ang hinungdan sa grabing baha, kainit sa panahon, mga sakit ug uban pa ilabi na sa atong syudad, mikuyanap na usab ang mga mina ug quarrying sa atong kabukiran. Mangutana ako sa nagpreparar ining AIP kung pila ka porsyento sa kantidad nga 8.125 billion ang gigahin sa kasamtangang administrasyon para sa climate change mitigation. Ikatulo, Mr. Chair, ang sanggunian panglungsod or ang City Council mao man ang legislative body sa local government of Cagayan de Oro. Ang main function sa atong departamento mao ang pagpanday og mga balaodnon para ma-improve ang kalidad sa kinabuhi sa atong mga katawhan. Mangutana lang ako, Mr. Chair, kay bago man ako. Unsa may kalabutan sa pagpalit nato og 40 sets of basketball shot clock naa sa page 8 sa annual investment plan? Unsay kalabutan nato sa 30 pieces of tents, 30 sets of tents, 5 units of fabricated tents, 5 units of fabricated tents, mao gyapon sa page 11, nilain ni siya description. Naani sa annual investment plan, Mr. Chair. 4 units of fabricated tents, nasa page 16. Ug 2 pieces of tent sa page 20 nga naa sa annual investment program. Para sa City Council ug mga committees, unsay kalabutan aning mga basketball ug tent diha sa pagpanday nato og mga balaudnon? Pasabta lang ko, Mr. Chair. Pasabta usab ako sa author nga nag-approve aning AIP. Daghang salamat, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez. Okay, Majority Floor Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The annual investment plan is the 1-year development plan of the city government, and it must proceed before we consider the budget of the next or ensuing calendar year. In other words, what we have right now is the pending annual investment plan that would guide all the budgetary requirement for all the programs and services of the city government of Cagayan de Oro for 2022. Without this piece of plan, Mr. Chairman, according to the guidelines of the Department of Budget and Management, we cannot implement and enforce what we can consider as the annual budget for 2022. In other words, we need this plan. In other words, even if the annual investment plan may be higher or with the same amount with the annual budget for the same calendar year, is still a plan. It's still a good plan, Mr. Chairman, considering that plans should be bigger than what we have in our resources. Our resources is the estimated incomes that we might be able to collect in the next fiscal year, which is the entire January to December 2022. So in other words, these are the outline executive now to be considered by the legislative as our annual investment plan as to the specifics and the details, even in the items in the monitoring and services of the legislative branch, Mr. Chairman, perhaps these are the priorities of the members of the City Council who would like to assist the communities, sitios, and barangays these needs of logistical requirement, Mr. Chairman. So in other words, it's about prioritization. And as to our role in the LGU for the environment, we have facets of programs and priority projects, which are contained in the CLENRO, City Local Environment Resources Office, and other executive bodies which we have created and now enforcing our environmental protections and responsibilities and obligations for the entire year, Mr. Chairman. So as to whether or not we will be able to collect for the next fiscal year, that would depend on the fiscal managers of the city government, which is the local finance committee, the city treasurer, the city accountants, the city assessor, and the entire machinery of the executive department. It would be up to them. I understand that the policy anticipation on financial matters of the city government, even up from the time when I personally being part of this administration, Mr. Chairman, in 2016, I asked that question to the city mayor and to the members of the local finance committee. Their position on fiscal management, Mr. Chairman, is to be aggressive in their desire to aspire for more for the people of Cagayan de Oro. In other words, for other people's perspective, it might be excessive because it might not be collected, considering that they are estimates. But if they are not aggressive, then we will remain to be on status quo, on a plateau area where we don't dream for the people of Cagayan de Oro to improve. So that was the answer of our local chief executive and the members of the local finance committee. I remember correctly in August 2016, Mr. Chairman, when I confronted them with this concern that I have also with similar to that of Councilor Bebot Rodriguez. So running the operations, of course, is a different thing. Whether or not they are able to collect, it's not our role. The wisdom is within the council as to the power of the purse. We have an agreement in the past budget consideration, in fact, unanimous, Mr. Chairman, because we believe that the executive is doing well. And they have done that in areas where programs and services were implemented, Mr. Chairman. So I think that would be the answer.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair.
Majority Floor Leader, ayan
Mr. Chairman.
na kaya.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez.
Mr. Chair, I understand what the majority floor leader is telling us. Yet, I am questioning with this 8 billion nga gi-budget nato for the annual investment plan in case nga dili gyud nato ma-come up no ang atong projected nga mukita ta 7.5 billion. So what happens to the project that had been already programmed? So mangutang bata or dili dayon ang uban nga project? And the second question, how much is budgeted for the climate change? I want to know that, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
As to those projects and programs which the executive could not fund because we have reduced the estimated collectible, Mr. Chairman, that would be the discretion of the executive to implement with the backing of acquiring loan. But of course, it has to be presented before the council or identify priorities which can be implemented, and those others we'll have to wait for other time to be implemented. That's the function of fiscal management, Mr. Chairman. So as to environmental concerns, again, I have answered that we have several items in the executive budget or in the annual investment plan, Mr. Chairman, distributed in executive bodies and departments. Even our 5% calamity fund, it can finance for the 70% of the 5% calamity funds as a proactive endeavor of the local government unit to prevent climate change effects in the city.
Okay, Councilor Roger Abaday.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and my colleagues in the Nmfo City Council, and all those who are watching us online. Maayong hapon sa tanan. So, this is with regards to the question, Mr. Chairman, about annual investment plan, which we are about to approve. Now, niagi man ta kasagara sa ato, niagi tag barangay captain, gi-require man sa ta pagpahimo na ning annual investment plan. So before this annual investment plan that is presented to us here in the plenary was being the chief executive and its department has called several representatives, all barangays, so the representative and presented their plans. So the annual investment plan of the city is a component of all investment plan. So this is a plan. It contains specific programs like what have been mentioned, projects and activities corresponding to the cost, project cost, including necessary funds, flows, and approximate reasonable timing in the release of funds. So the question of that amount, it can be collected katong billions. So depende na kung sa collections, kung maabot ng amount, makollect na sa city, then that will finance all this what is stated in the plan. So as to kung dili makamap ang kanang amount, then the chief executive has to prioritize the project which is to be implemented. So discretionary on the part of the chief executive, which projects which he wanted to implement. Nesgutan man tong mga tent o mga those are needed in the barangays, mga basketball for sports. So everything is considered, and there is no perfect plan, di ba? It's only perfect intentions. So magdepende na sa pundo kung ma-collect. So muna i-purpose sa investment plan. So kanaunta nga mga points during the budget hearing, if you attended, yun na raise, no? Na-clarify kay ang atong department heads, i-explain man nila na tanan. Kanang, how do we source out this mga projects? Can we come up with this amount that we are about to, for the budget 2022? So we asked all the department heads, and they were able to give us data and explanations. So everything has been prepared, Mr. Chairman and my colleagues. So I think this annual investment plan is in order, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Roger Abaday.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, Councilor Edgar Cabanlas.
Hello. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the City Council, people of Cagayan de Oro. In every budget precedes a plan. You cannot prepare a budget without a plan that is mandated, so that your budget will be well prepared because you have a plan. And under the budget circular, you have to prepare a plan, but it doesn't mean that you have to follow the plan all the time. The plan will depend on the income. That is why sometimes the plan is bigger than the budget. Or the budget can be bigger than the plan. It all depends. Now, with regards to the climate change is not a problem only of Cagayan de Oro. It is a worldwide issue. People are quarreling already how to solve this. What we can do is only to mitigate the effects of climate change. And I think one of the major action taken by the city government and the national government is the construction of this dam, this dike, to help us prevent the effects of climate change. And continuously we are planting trees. That's even mandated by the national government through the DNR. And we have also policies that we should follow in the issuances of quarry permits. And there are also laws under the national government that you cannot cut trees without permission. Logging was already banned. These are the mitigating action taken by not only by the national government but also the local government. Renovating or redevelopment of our cemetery is also part of that climate change mitigation, so that people of Cagayan de Oro will remain healthy. We will not be exposed to drinking dirty water. So that's but as far as carbon footprint reduction, that is not our job, Mr. Chairman. Di ba ito mamanduan ng Philippine Center Corporation nga ipaundang sila silang tig-aso nilang. In fact, for the information of everybody, as far as carbon emission is concerned, those poor countries, ang mga lisod, ang mga pobre nga nasod, mo'y pinakagamay ra yung carbon emission. Ang pinakadako og presyo ng mga nasod, ang mga sapian, mga adunahan nga nasod. May atong makahitay problema na. Although we are contributing because it is mandated, but as far as contribution is concerned, ang contribution nato sa destruction sa atong klima is very least. But the effects is worldwide. Epektuhan sa permi. Bisan tuod ang atong contribution is very small, but sa epekto, we are the most affected. Mo kana dia. Mo nang gingon ko nga ang climate change should be, it's a worldwide phenomenon. The solution here does not come from us. It comes from the rich nations. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Edgar Cabanlas.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Councilor Saldi Ocon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a matter of query, considering that we are on the approval for our annual investment plan. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Chair, we back in 2019 and 2020, before the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Chair, during our budget deliberation, with the presence of department head and LGU Cagayan de Oro, we budgeted already 2 times for the service vehicle of all the city councilors. Tungkol kayong nahitabo, sa tanan ng mga LGUs tibok Pilipinas, ang Cagayan de Oro yun ng mga konsyal ang West Kina. So that is why we already allocated 2 times for that effect para nga itong magamit sa pagserbisyo sa atong katuhan. But duha ka budgetan wagid ma-finalize during sa atong annual investment plan. May query, Mr. Chair, sa nahitabo niya ito tuod. So may nahitabo niya ito, nga na may budget unta, wa man gyapon matuman. Pwede akong pangutana. Thank you.
Okay.
Just like Councilor Pari Zaldi Ocon, Mr. Chairman, I'm also asking. And it would be up to our staff perhaps to make the necessary follow-up. But to me personally, Mr. Chairman, I did not make any follow-up. I did not exert effort to make follow-up. So I don't have that luxury of having a signed vehicle. So I guess the same with other members of the council. Maybe perhaps we are all concerned about this pandemic, and this may not be the right time to procure for our utility vehicle. Again, the same question that I am raising. Pare.
Last, Mr. Chair, last.
Okay,
Last, Mr.
okay.
Chair.
Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez. And
If I may,
okay.
if I may suggest, Mr. Chair, because usually the annual budget usually is given to us days prior to the scheduled budget hearing. If I may, mag-request lang ta mi nga taas-taas na panahon ihatag sa amo so that we can also study. Kaya ang may tabo manggod, dili na gyud na mo matan-awan. Dili na gyud na mo i-scan mo na lang, useless kay baga gyud kaayo na. In fact, the annual investment plan probably siguro days gyapon before ma-distribute. If I may, Mr. Chair, nga unta matagaan, we will have be given a chance to also study our budget and of course the AIP. Probably a month before, mas mayo siguro, Mr. Chair, so we can also study on that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez.
According to our secretary, his office have distributed at least 2 weeks ago, Mr. Chairman, the annual budget.
Okay. 3 weeks,
3 weeks ago for the annual budget.
3 weeks before the
Mr.
annual
Chair,
budget.
I got mine. I do not know who received it. I got mine days prior to the budget hearing. Impossible because usually my secretary gives it to me right away. So I really do not know. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Her comment
Okay.
is well considered, Mr. Chairman. And
Okay, noted majority floor leader. And so okay, thank you, Councilor Jocelyn Rodriguez. Anyone?
pending motion, Mr. Chairman, is for the approval.
Okay, there is a pending motion, properly moved and seconded. Objection? Objection.
Abstain.
There are 2
Objection,
members
okay.
abstaining, Mr. Chairman.
Abstention?
Abstention, Mr.
Councilor
Chair.
Jocelyn Rodriguez and so as Councilor Lordan Swan.
Yeah.
That's for the record.
Okay. So resolution number 2021, thus 251 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense for its finality.
Second,
Seconded.
Number 4, Mr. Chairman, is proposed resolution number 2021-252, approving and or adopting the water, sanitation, and health wash plans and projects for financial and technical assistance by appropriate national government agencies to wit: A, Local Sustainable Sanitation Plan of Cagayan de Oro City and for calendar year 2021 to 2030. B, Cagayan de Oro City Seepage Management Program and Cagayan de Oro City Sewerage Project. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved. Seconded. Objection? Is there any objection? None. Resolution number 2021, thus 252 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense for its finality. Seconded.
second,
Number 5 is proposed ordinance number 2021-197, deleting the parenthetical title Artist Illustrator 1 of the position Administrative Aid 6, item number 22/SG6 in the plantilla of the City Health Office, the city. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved by the majority floor leader. Seconded. Objection? Objection? Hearing none. Hearing none. Ordinance number 2021-197 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense for its finality. Seconded.
Number 6 is proposed ordinance number 2021-198, authorizing the Honorable City Mayor Oscar S. Moreno representing the city government of Cagayan de Oro as vendor to enter into and sign a total of 648 deeds of absolute sale with the respective beneficiaries as vendees of the Indahag Phase 2 relocation site, Barangay Indahag, the city, for Sendong victims and other qualified beneficiaries pursuant to the socialized housing program of the city under the terms and conditions stipulated therein. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved with the majority floor leader. Seconded. Objection? Objection? None? Hearing none. Ordinance number 2021-198 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense for its finality. Seconded.
We have for inclusion, Mr. Chairman, as items number 7, 8, 9, and 10, the one introduced earlier during our discussion with our invited resource persons. As number 10, move for their inclusion.
For inclusion, seconded. Carry on. Majority floor.
Number 7 is proposed ordinance number 2021-199, approving the supplemental budget number 4 of the general fund and supplemental budget number 4 of the special account local economic enterprises, both for calendar year 2021 with estimated incomes of 166,394,920 pesos and 25,700,000 pesos respectively against estimated expenditures of the same amounts. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved with the majority floor leader. Seconded. Objection? Councilor Edna Dahino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item is not yet discussed in my committee and there are a lot of queries. So I move to defer this item, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, there is a
Second.
motion for deferment. Seconded. Okay. For deferment. For deferment. So properly moved and seconded. Ordinance number 2021-199 is tabled.
Number 8, Mr. Chairman, is proposed resolution number 2021-253, commending and congratulating of the Cagayan de Oro City Nutrition Committee for receiving 14 regional awards during the 2021 Regional Nutrition Awarding Ceremony at Limkit Kai Lux Hotel, Cagayan de Oro City, last November 18, 2021, organized by the National Nutrition Council Region 10, as listed. The 14 awards received, Mr. Chairman, proponent Councilor Maria Lourdes Gani, and all members present as proponents. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved by the majority floor leader. Any second? Seconded. Objection? Objection? Well, congratulations, committee chairman on
Health.
Maria Lourdes Gani. Resolution number 2021-253, since there is no objection, after all, it is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense for its finality. Seconded.
Ni Ganesha, 14 gid ka book. Regional. Diba? Number 9.
Anyway, before we proceed the majority floor,
Okay.
niabot na ang trophy sa galing po. Wala pa, dako agad adto ha.
Container van siguro.
Container van ang gisudlan. Wala pa dagi abot. So, grabe mga kuan.
Diba?
Anyway, yung na proceed.
Ato
majority floor.
ipabisita to nga trophy sa dini. Councilor the beautiful Maria Lourdes Gani.
Yehey!
So we have item number 9, Mr. Chairman, proposed resolution number
Item number 9.
2021-254, earnestly requesting USTP System President Ambrosio B. Cultura II. This is the second PhD to designate the USTP Center for Inclusive Development Studies to conduct a study entitled An Assessment of the CED and AWPTM and Evaluation of the merging of all city economic enterprise projects into one department. Move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved by the majority floor leader. Seconded. Resolution number 2021-254. Proponent, our very own Majority Floor Leader, Ayan Mark Kiblat Nakaya. Objection? Objection? None? Hearing none. Resolution number 2021-254 is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense for its finality. Seconded.
Evaluating siguro na
Okay.
clerks. Correct lang. Okay. We have number 10 is proposed resolution number 2021-255, urging the City Council Committee of the Whole on budget deliberation through the Local Finance Committee, maybe not the and the Local Finance Committee to consider the hiring of a legal officer who will solely handle issues and concerns on gender and development subject to styling. Proponents, Councilor Joylene Mercedes Balaba, Edna Dahino, and all members, Mr. Chairman. Move for its approval.
Properly moved by the Majority Floor Leader. Any second? Seconded.
Mr. Chair,
Objection?
Mr. Chair, query.
Okay, Councilor Saldi Ocon.
I am not against, Mr. Chairman, with the approval of this proposed resolution number 2021-255. But it must be 5 years in experience, Mr. Chairman. City, one of the, lawyer which is being hired by this special for the God purposes in the city of Cagayan de Oro. 5 years experience, Mr. Chairman, I suggest. Trial lawyer.
Subject to styling. Thank you, pare.
Thank you.
Subject
Mr.
for-
Chair.
Okay, Councilor Ruben Daba.
Yes, Mr. Chair, no, I'm not also against with kanang mag-hire ta, pero ang ako lang untang hangyo nga dili lang sa komitiba sa God and everything kundi na wala gyud tay lawyer, Mr. Chair, if wala niyo nabantayan ang atong legal kanang city kanang legislative department, wala gyud tay lawyer, Mr. Chair. Nga kana bitaw murag pareha aning God nga dito na to maduulan kay wala gyud kay kanang naay mga problema dito kita sa executive, dito ta kay attorney Sabinal. So mura na akong kuan unta, Mr. Chair, nga sa legislative department gyud unta ang atong lawyer. Daghang salamat maayong hapon.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Ruben Daba. Okay, Councilor Roger Abaday.
Thank you very much. With regard to this issue, I think Councilor Cabanlas, we remember that he has also passed a resolution requesting the UBO that we will hire one legal counsel for the UBO, Office of the Building Officials. But Mr. Chairman, I do not know if you will confide with me and my colleagues that there is a Supreme Court ruling that the LGU is not is prohibited for hiring a department for hiring a counsel or legal counsel, because there is already the city legal we have already city legal office, no? So I do not know if this is appropriate, and I would not object, but please help me if this is appropriate that I will have to provide. God is under under city government. What department? It's one department. So that's my observation, Mr. Chairman, and my colleagues.
Okay, Councilor Edna Dahino.
Mr. Chairman, as we observe, limitado ka ang number of lawyers in our city legal office. So we need to have one lawyer for that purpose. Grabe na kay kadaghan ng ilang trabaho, Mr. Chairman, masagol pa ng mga kababayan nga daghan po trabahoon. So there should be a separate lawyer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Edna Dahino.
But for clarification, Mr. Chairman,
Okay, Majority Floor Leader.
the authors did not specify that they will be committee lawyer. They're part of the structure of the bureaucracy of the city government, and those lawyers who will be hired will be under the city legal office. But what is specified in the proposal, Mr. Chairman, is their function would be dedicated to gender and development responsibilities and duties. So they would still form part in the structure in the legal office. Again, as manifested earlier, that the supervision is also under the command of the city legal officer. It's not a committee lawyer.
Okay. Is there any, there is a pending proposal, properly moved and seconded. Objection? Okay, before we proceed and finish our agenda this afternoon, in fairness to everybody, I would like to greet our birthday celebrant, Councilor Yan Lam Lim.
Thank you
And
for
so
the
as
election.
Councilor Chodolfo Bunglao.
Yes.
Isod kayo nga mahuman ang adlaw nga di ka mag-greet o makantahan ni
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday pa rin.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Birthday, Agalon.
Happy birthday, Councilor Yan Lam Lim.
And Councilor
as-
Bunglao.
In behalf of the 19th City Council, Councilor Chodolfo Bunglao, well, he's not around, but at least our tradition to sing a song to show our pasalamat ba sa lechon ba?
Yay!
Happy birthday, Councilor Yan Lam Lim and Councilor Chodolfo Bunglao. So there is a pending proposal or motion as moved by our majority floor leader and seconded. Objection? Objection. None? Resolution number 2021-255. Well, subject for styling of our very own secretary. Since there is no objection after all, it is hereby approved.
Move to dispense second final reading.
Dispense for its finality. Seconded.
By the way, God and also includes LGBT. Mr. Chairman, kindly specify.
God is very broad terms in terms of public service, especially in the government. So,
Move to dispense second final reading.
dispense for its finality. Any second? Seconded.